simple, easy layout here. Bend it, slide the swivel down, and clamp it closed. These frogs are absolutely ridiculous. Now that is a fish, people, right there. Here's the release. Beautiful fish. Hey guys, J Tom Bassman here. So, you know, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about from pro fishermen and a lot of TV shows, and I talk with a lot of guys, and the most important thing they say to enhance your fishing skills and to improve the amount of fish you catch is to study. And by study I mean look up stuff and learn what other people are doing and how they're doing it, and just study it. And another thing is to learn everything and anything about bass. That means their behavior, how they act in the wild, the way they live, what they live in, on, how they breed, how they eat, how they feed, what they feed on. All that stuff is very important when it comes to fishing, and it's one of the major things you need to know. I mean, yeah, you can just go out there and throw a bait and reel it in and see what you get, but if you know what to do, you're going to find bass easier, you're going to catch more fish, and you're going to understand the species and not, really understand them as a complex creature. They're a very smart animal, and they know a lot. So I'm going to start a new series. It's going to be about teaching you guys some little tips and tricks about bass. It's going to be lures, a specific lure, telling you what you need to know, tips and tricks. It's going to be about how bass behave in the wild, their feeding styles, their breeding styles, when they breed, where they breed, stuff like that, the cover they live in, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to be mentioned, and I'm going to do it in parts. I'm not going to give it to y'all at once, but this is going to be part one. I'm going to try to do probably like 5-minute videos. Except for this one because I'm explaining it to you, but the videos are going to probably be 5 minutes long, and then you're going to get a bunch of information. I'm going to give you pictures, diagrams, anything you need, visual representations to show you, whether it be lures, stuff like that. So the first one we're going to talk about today is the way bass feed and attack their prey. So this is going to be really interesting. I bet a lot of you don't know what I'm about to tell you. It's some good information, so pay attention closely and you'll learn something new today. There are 3 main ways bass attack their prey. They are ram feeding, suction feeding, and ram suction feeding. 3 ways. Okay. The first one is ram feeding. Now, ram feeding is like a full-blown attack on the prey. There's no like, oh hey, look at that, it's a raw eating the fish, and it's gonna, hey, look at that, I'm gonna eat it, boom, it's done. Okay. A real life example would be a bait fish swimming through water, or a school of bait fish, and a bass just comes up and nails them. A frog on top of the water, or some sort of creature on top of the water, the bass is interested, whether it be a dragonfly, whatever. Them exploding on that bass, or on the frog or fish or bug or whatever, coming up and hitting that really hard, that's ram feeding. Now, that's one of the main ways that bass attack. In lure perspective, you're looking at crankbaits, lipped and lipless, swim jigs, swimming baits, hard and soft, spinner baits, swim jigs, Alabama rigs, a big one. All of those are open water attack baits. Oh, also top water. You got poppers, frogs, and walk the dog style baits. All of those are going to entice a ram feeding scenario, and that's really shows the ram feeding at its best. Is when a bass, you're ripping that spinner bait in and a bass just hits it. That is ram feeding. So that's the top one of the ways that bass feed. Second is suction feeding. I'm going to give you a little diagram and talk about suction feeding first here. So bass have muscles like we do. Here's my nice little drawing of a bass, if you can see that. Okay, there's my bass. Here's the mouth of the bass, right here. and mouth is pretty big on a bass. It opens pretty wide. An average 2-pound bass can suck in a 12-inch baitfish, and the bass is usually about 15 inches long when it's about 2 pounds. So that shows you that they can suck in some pretty big prey. But right here is the jaw, okay, and here's the hyoid muscle. When the bass opens his mouth, okay, to suck in some prey, what it's going to do is it's going to do a little head lift, and it's going to flex that muscle, and it's going to cause suction. And what it's going to do is it's going to suck anything in front of it into its mouth. So this is done before you can even like blink. It goes so quick, it's amazing. These animals are absolutely crazy how they can do this so fast. But it's going to flex its mouth, and it's going to open and do a little head tilt, and that's going to cause a little bit of suction. It's not like a complete like vacuum cleaner suction, but it's enough suction to suck in that prey for them to get it into their big mouth and eat it. So that's my diagram. And you know, they'll do this on the bottom usually. So crawfish crawling on the bottom, baitfish, other creatures, and they'll also do it on vegetation. So when you're up on bass are in vegetation and stuff, and they have baitfish or bugs or weird creatures, whatever, they're gonna eat them. They're gonna open up, do that head lift, flex the muscle, and it's gonna suck the stuff right in there. So it's pretty cool how they can do that. So you know, lure example wise, big one, Texas rig. You're bouncing a lure off the bottom. Bass comes up, sucks it in, and that's how you get that tap, tap, tap. Most of you guys have probably used a Texas rig before with a bullet weight, and you're fishing on the bottom, and you just lifted it up, and it came back down and it's sitting there, and all of a sudden you feel tap, tap, tap. That's the hyoid flexing and the bait going into the fish's mouth. That's what that is. So another example would be a Carolina rig. Let's see what I wrote down. Carolina rig, a Texas rig, a jig, a shaky head or a crawfish, and you're bouncing that on the ground. Jig, another big one. You tap, 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 and then boom. So and then usually if you get a tap, 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 and then another tap, 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 the bass sucked it in, spit it out, and sucked it in again. So that tells you that there's a bass there. Yes, you can't see that, and it'd be pretty cool if you could. I've seen some videos of it, but it's pretty neat to see a bass how they do that. And then the last being ram suction feeding. So that's when you have a combination of a ram feeding style and that suctioning, the lift, the flexing of the hyoid muscle, causing the bait or whatever to go in the fish's mouth. So usually that's when they just run. That's when they just go right through the bait, and they open their mouth at the same time, and it does that all in one motion. It's pretty amazing. The main that's kind of suspended off the bottom of the pond. Usually that, you know, a lure example would be a drop shot rig. Perfect example. You have a suspended bait, suspended creature. Bass gonna come, go right through it, take that, and you got the fish. So another one is weightless worms and crawfish and any weightless rig. You got that jerk bait even too. You got that going around, and then it kind of sinks, and the bass comes, sucks it in, keeps going. So those are the three main ways bass attack their prey. You got ram feeding, suction feeding, and ram suction. So yeah, I hope you learned something about how bass feed and attack their prey. So now you can, when you look at your pond, you can see which one the bass do most at your pond, and maybe it'll change your mind on lures. Maybe you'll mix it up a little bit and try little combinations of both. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look forward to seeing more interesting videos on bass and give you some good information on what you need to know. It's a big part of fishing. So if you got any questions, let me know. But as always, be safe fishing. Have fun.